guys, Dave at Props 88. We're going to take this regular piece of acrylic, as you'll see right over here, regular piece of acrylic, and we're going to turn it into something special. We're going to turn it into one of the panels of the Millennium Falcon. So let's do it. Let's Props 88 this. Into this. This is what we're going to end up with. A nice panel with all these functioning lights. It even has sound on it. You'll see here. We'll flip a couple switches. So this will be a good starting panel. So we'll start on this. So we're going to Props 88 this right now. All right, guys. This is one side of the second row of the Millennium panel, all the way to the right. And what we're doing now is we have the pinstriping done. We're starting to put our LED covers right here. You can see they're screwed on. I'll turn the panel around. It's just screwed on like that. And we're going to be going over all the details on this panel too. So we have our LED light, little acrylic squares installed already. I'm going to show you a little trick on those. If you notice, the squares are here, right? Obviously we leave the paper on until it's all done. But if you noticed, I'm going to show you this. What we do is we put these circles around the squares. See on both sides here? What this is going to do is we're going to keep the LED lights that we put on here. We're going to put these just like this, and it's going to light up, but it's going to give a circle of light from here when we put the LED in there. So the square, even though it's a square, we have a circle here. When we put the LED here inside this little diffuser, it'll allow the LED to light up in a circle form. So we'll continue that in a second. Okay, I'm going to take the LED for example. I'm going to put that in there, just stick it in there so far. Put some nice hot glue on there. And what I do is let it melt around that whole thing. It's not going anywhere. Of course, I tested the LED, make sure it works. I'll put the glue gun over here and I take my little air gun, give it a helping hand, get it on all over the nooks and crannies. There we go. Now that one's going to stay there. We just hold it for a second until the glue kind of sets up. And that's it. Now we're going to glue this, and then each of these, like I said before in the video, they're going to be controlled by the little paddle switch. All right. All right, next we're going to wire this. We're going to have these little paddle switches, 1, 2, 3, 4 here. And each one is going to turn this light on, this light on, this light on, like that. And then we're going to have these switches over here, which is really cool. They're just regular switches, and I grinded off the edges right there. See that? So there's no, usually they go into a wall. Let me just show you. Like here's a light switch, and they go like this, but I cut off the top and bottoms where the screws would go. So we're going to show you how that looks really cool once you get the correct cutouts here. And then we're going to get this over here. You'll see how cool that's going to look. And the real switches too. We're going to use this to power on the whole board and continue going over here. And we just keep moving forward. And I'll show you more and more details as we go along with this project. Just when you install switches, you just have to make sure that you know which way is up or on or off. So in this way, this little marking here determines up. So I'll put this in here, for example, right now. Turn this over on this side, and you can see that is in the on position. I'll tighten this little guy here. And now when these lights go on, these LED lights will turn on when these go like this. It's off, off, and these all will go either on or off. And we'll just repeat the same procedure and keep going down. All right, cool. Let's go on to the next step. All right, we got all the switches in, and you see right here, I'll turn it this way, and all the LEDs are glued in here, and then each of these will power this. We'll show you, I'll wire all this differently over here, and all these will turn on. These will just be kind of dead switches. For example, these will just be regular switches for looks. And they'll still work, the paddle switches, but they'll be just nice switches all over the place. Like I said, and these guys are the really cool looking bad boys, and like I showed you before, they just fit right in here, and they'll actually be on to turn on the panel. This particular sound panel will also have sound over here, So play some cool, this will be a touch button, has some cool Star Wars sound effects. All right, and we'll keep going on to the next step. And here we put a touch sensitive switch over here. And what's going to happen is the LED is going to, when you touch the LED, it'll actually, it's a touch switch, so you'll see when I tap it on the acrylic, it'll actually turn this on or off, so I can play a sound or turn lights on or whatever. All right, so that's the next step. And what we're doing now is we're epoxying the light switches here to the acrylic. Hot glue doesn't work good with, well, it's okay, but it doesn't work good. Epoxy works great with acrylic. And I'm just going to smooth everything out here, as you can see, and get these light switches nice and connected here, making sure I get everything, because when you do push on a switch, they will push down. So we're going to make sure they're all even here. Let this dry overnight, and it'll be a good cure. You see that? Those are those switches. Just nice little epoxy over there. And the epoxy I'm using is Mr. Gorilla Glue clear epoxy. So that should help that. I'll do it, and we'll wait for this to dry tomorrow morning. Then you'll see we'll push all the buttons. Give a tour so far. Got everything going. Get the touch switch. Now this works because this is glue. This sticks to acrylic really well, the wood, and then the hot glue sticks to the wood. So kind of best of both worlds over there. So that's what it looks like so far. A little messy, but no one sees this. This is a drop-in panel, so it'll come out really nice when it's done with sounds and everything else. All right, that's what we got so far. On to the next. All right, guys. Now, what I like to do when I do the wire connectors, I use either wire nuts or these little dolphin connectors, which are really great. Little telephone wire, guys. Anyway, what I do is when I use wire nuts for a lot of wires, I also reinforce it with some hot glue. That way it doesn't ever come loose. It's kind of safe, little safety. Plus it's insulating as well. I'm gonna use that on all my wires here. Try to keep everything neat, especially if you're gonna make props and sell them. You don't want these things coming apart when you ship them. Okay, and we got a little MP3 module here, little DF player. I'll put description links. We put our music on here, and then when we press this touch button here, I'm showing you kind of behind the scenes, and then when we flip it over, we'll do that. Of course, we have a little Arduino Nano right here, and then what we're going to do is these lights will all be random over here. This one I glued this directly here, this LED. This is kind of just do, do, do. This is the touch button that will send this thing to play. And then after that, let's see, these are just power on and offs. And then I'm going to show you what we're going to do with these guys over here. We're going to put the LED lights, and we're going to put these little things over here like this. And the LED light will go in here, and each one of these, and they'll diffuse the light a lot better. So we got one bank of switches. These are epoxied on from the last couple minutes ago. And we're just going to keep going on till this R2D2 thing is wired up. Star Wars panels are lots of wires. So you try to do the best you can. And acrylic, sometimes you have to tape wires down, then hot glue it. You know, whatever it takes to get the job done. But you try to do it as neat as possible. And we'll neaten all this up later, but you can see it looks like a rat's nest now. But all right, and let's just keep moving forward. And before I forget, I want to let you guys know, this is what I use for CA glue, super weld. For the money, it's worth it does exactly what Bob Smith's CA glue does, but you get quadruple the amount of money, money's worth rather, because the other stuff always has a problem with the caps. These caps are perfect. Like I said, you get 10 times the amount of money. It's like 10 bucks, and it's just worth it. It does everything for CA glue. Just want to throw that in there. All right. Now, since it's an Arduino, we use this USB end to plug into Arduino Nano. And what I did is, because we're going to use this to power on everything, we need to have these two wires go on ground and positive over here. And then what we're going to do is one goes here, one goes there. This will turn on the switch, completing the circuit. So the USB will not be, the Arduino will not be turned on unless this switch is turned on. So which is good. We just cut the wire here and then just spliced it over here. We'll take this out nice and neat and just plug it into the USB outlet or block. This goes to the Arduino Nano over here. And these two wires will basically go like this. So one on each side. And then this switch, just one of these switches, will turn on the entire panel. Okay. Right. We got it all taped up here. Doesn't have to be pretty. Remember, this is going to be underneath the whole panel, so no one's going to see it. A nice electrical tape here. The two wires here, which are going to connect to either side of the switch. This plugs into Mr. Arduino, and obviously this plugs into USB. We're just going to keep moving. I'm a big fan of having everything connected really good, panel insulated, and the best thing to do, a little hot glue. Once all the pins are connected to your little Arduino, in this case the MP3, I put a glue like this, grab all the pins, make sure they're nice and tight, get a glue on there just like this. Not only do I do this with the all the components, I also do this with Arduino, anything electrical, like that. You see the nice glue when it dries. Take my little air compressor guy. Little handy guy I got on Amazon. You see that? Awesome for drying glue really fast too. Anyway, look at that, nice connection, already dried to the touch. And then we'll glue this, we'll get this all hot glued as well. All the pins in there. First, before we hot glue this, you gotta make sure everything's connected. And so we'll connect all these lights, then we'll hot glue all these wires back on here. All right, these little guys we printed out on 3D printer, they're clear. They're just a nice diffuser of the LED lights. And I have a little hole in there. These are 5mm LEDs. You just stick it in there and it'll spread out the light really nice. I'll show you how to do it. First we're gonna do is glue all these guys on here. So you take the glue gun, put these in the center of the light switches. Put them in the center of the LED lights, just like that. And let's see, I'll move it like this, just to get the center. Now I have all the holes set, so now I'm gonna just put glue on this. Put glue over here, glue like this. And basically, we're just gonna glue everything to the wood over there, so it doesn't come off. Like this, blah, blah, blah. That's it. Now we'll let this dry. Then we'll start, then we put the LEDs in there. We'll do these guys over here. This. All right, now I'm gonna put wait till this dries, then we'll put the LED lights and I'll glue those. All right, now we're gonna glue the LEDs in here. We're gonna stick them in here. Like again, these are 5mm. I'll put links to descriptions for this stuff on the website. I mean on the channel here. I'm gonna just glue over here, put a little glue right on here to hold it. And we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more LEDs, just like that. And that's it. And then I'll show you what we're gonna do to keep all the light inside this square button over here. So once this dries, I'll do the rest of these and show you the next step. And the second way of doing it too, I did the first one when you glue first. This might be easier. Stick the LED in there first, and then take the aluminum tape, like that, both aluminum on both sides. And remember, it conducts electricity, so we want to make sure there's no exposed wires. And we're just going to put it right over here and hold the LED wire onto there. I'll do another one to show you real quick here. Take another wire, take this, I cut them in squares already, so it's a little bit faster. I'm gonna take this guy, shove him in here, just try to get this. And what this is gonna do is keep all the light reflected into that LED acrylic light and diffuse it nicely, like that. So then we'll come back, we'll put glue on this stuff and make sure it's all good. And then we'll go to the next step. Okay, now all the aluminum tape is on. Now we just go over it with a little bit of hot glue. Keep everything sealed down so nothing comes up. Like again, this is a drop-in panel, so it's not going to be really abused. It's going to be, because it's going to be flipped upside down. But we're just doing it for safety. Make sure nothing falls out anyway. Always good to have that. And then we put a little extra glue everywhere. Make sure everything stays nice and secure. We go over here, put it over here a little bit, just a little bit of glue. Like I said, the hot glue is great because it just makes everything stick. And very little problems, insulates as well. And that's it for now. All right, so now the fun part's coming up. Now we're gonna wire all the all these LEDs now. We're gonna hook them up to the Arduino. We're gonna glue this and then turn this bad boy over so we can actually see it in work mode, or play mode rather. All right, now we have all our little plugs from all our LEDs here. And then we're just gonna plug them into our Arduino. I programmed it from pin 2 on. So I'm gonna go here, start connecting pin, let's see, pin 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2. So, and then I'm gonna connect these to these, and then we're gonna glue these up, and we're almost there. All right, we got the Arduino all glued, all the wires nice and glued. They're not coming out anywhere. So they're insulated too with can't think, just lost my train of thought. With the hot glue. Okay, we're all good to go. Everything's all glued up. We're gonna tape all this and glue it nice to the board. But just to show you that everything works right, I'm gonna leave this, I'm just gonna plug this in real quick here. Normally the switch would turn this on, but I have it kind of just cheating right now because I'm just waiting for the other 2 switches. And then we're gonna plug this in here. Plug this in, I'll show you, I'm gonna turn it toward you guys so you can see the panel. Let's see. And I want to see, I'll turn the lights off for a second here. There we go. So you can see it. Now I've had the little paper on there to cover the LEDs, but you can see them, they're all lighting up. And this one, we did this now, switches that turn all the LEDs on. And then to show you the touch button over here is, watch this now. It'll look really cool when all these buttons are done, and it's really nice. We have a functional board for the Millennium Falcon, one of the panels. So that'll do it. Let's put that back on. All right, so it's looking good. We're almost done. All right.